Hello everyone, I'm Shelly Slapak, the City of Janesville's Recreation Director, and I will be presenting on city public event permitting and the processes and policies for them. Thank you for coming. Okay. There are special event ordinances that people need to follow. The City of Janesville has a pretty robust website, and there's an easy tab on there that says, I want to find. And when you go to that, all you have to do is click on special events, and up comes these ordinances. So in terms of city events, there's a few ordinances that come into play, and those are financial gain ordinances, and those numbers are JGO 34-175 and JGO 34-458. So what those pertain to is any organization or individual cannot sell anything on public property. So that would be on closed public streets, could be on the terraces, it could be in parking lots, it could be in public parks. So in order to do a public event where you want to either collect money, whether it be donations, or you're going to sell anything, you need a permit through the City of Janesville. And that's a public event permit that allows for that financial gain. The other thing that you need is a lot of events wish to have a road closure. Popular is the Newtown Square, Festival Street. We can close that road, but again, that's another reason you would need to have a permit. And then the other ordinances that pertain to public events are our alcohol licensing ordinances. And that is JGO 6-62 and JGO 6-65. And what that is any alcohol consumption or sales on public property does require an additional permit. And that's the Class B permit that we'll talk about later on in this presentation. What constitutes a special event? So there's various things that we look at. If you're going to do any of these things, it constitutes a public special event of which a public event permit is required. Are you wishing to close a street or a portion of a street or a public parking lot? Any temporary closing or partial closing would require a permit. Another thing is a park event. You want to have an event in a park. You see all the run walks in parks, or you see the fundraising events from nonprofit organization. That is where a permit is required because you're looking to use a portion of that public park for that event's exclusive use. If there's financial gain, and most public events, like I said, fall into that category. You're selling concessions, maybe you're selling merchandise, you're collecting a registration fee, you're charging admission fee to an event, or you're selling any wares. And some people don't think this is one of the categories, but you're accepting donations, okay? And some people think of the category of, well, it's not a financial gain event or activity because I'm not necessarily gaining money. I'm collecting money that I'm going to donate to an organization. Or I'm collecting money and it's just offsetting the costs of putting on the event. So there's no financial gain, it's a wash. That doesn't matter. Any actual collection of money constitutes that financial gain. In the guidelines packet, like I said, the City of Janesville has a pretty robust public event information section of our website, but in there is a public special events guidelines and policy packet. Lots of pages in there filled with lots of great information that I'm talking about today. But in there, it talks about what you need to do to have a public event on public property. It talks about the application process. There is a hard copy application that you can print out and fill out and return to the Parks and Recreation office where public event approvals are done. Otherwise, there's an easy online application that you can complete that's sent in electronically. There are fees associated with public events, and that's for the review and processing and use of public space. Those fees are reasonable, and those are also listed in the packet of information. And it's based on the type of event that you're having. Other things that are required for public events are a certificate of liability insurance naming the City of Janesville as additionally insured. We also need a map of your event. The City of Janesville has various maps on our website. Under the public event site on our website, there's each park map that people can utilize, whether they want to hand draw on it, whether they want to use a computer application to complete that map, or the city has a very robust GIS website that allows event organizers to do a map of a public space in that way. Other permits that may apply: do you need a pavilion? Is it in a park that has a pavilion? There is a pavilion permit. There are tent permits, Class B permits. Class B associates with alcohol, and fireworks permits. And we'll go over each of those in another slide. Here is the website for special event information on the City of Janesville website, www.janesville.wi.gov/special events. And then, like I said, everything can be downloaded and printed off, or you can review electronically. Insurance requirements for public events. The highest are if you're going to have a circus or a carnival ride. So very few events do fall into this category, but that is the highest insurance requirement. Most common is the $1 million category, and that's athletic events, events with fireworks displays, boat, bicycle races, and concerts. 500,000 policies are run walks and your general festivals. And then the lowest category is the $300,000 policy, which is parades, trade shows, arts and crafts shows, and some of your smaller events. Insurance must be submitted 30 days prior to your event. Most event organizers provide their own insurance through their organization, their nonprofit. However, the city does have a third party that event organizers who don't have the ability to get special event organizers can apply for. And we'd be happy to provide a quote for the cost of that insurance if event organizers wish to. The third party vendor that we utilize is the city's insurance policy, CIVMIC. We talked about event maps. Events must submit an event map to us, and you can do so in various ways. Like I said, the City of Janesville website does have various parks that you can print out and simply draw on. That would be the simplest map that we receive, and we do receive maps in that fashion. However, you can go to the city's GIS mapping website and create your event map that way. There's Google Maps. A lot of run walks like to utilize the Google Maps. There's the Map My Run. And like I said, we do have various aerial maps on the City of Janesville website. Special event fees, we talked about that. There are special event fees that are charged and collected. And again, this is for the processing and review of public events. Run walks or bike rides, that is a $100 fee. One-day event, less than 100 people, that's $90. 1 or 2 day event between 100 to 500 people is $135. A 1 or 2 day event over 500 people is $210. And then it goes on from there. We've got fees for 3 or 4 day event, 3 or 4 day event, 1,000 to 4,000 people. And then of course, our biggest event fee is our 5+ day event, and that's $575, okay? We did have a fee. There were several events where they were doing certain things that qualified them for the public event fee and policy, but they weren't necessarily big. They had, less than 50 people, and we decided that we would have a separate fee for that maybe they weren't collecting money. So if you're doing a one-day event, less than 100 people, and there's no financial gain, it is just $25 fee. Types of alcohol permits. People do get confused. If you're having a private gathering, let's say you're having a family reunion, let's say you're having a birthday party, and you're renting a pavilion in the city of Janesville, that's not qualifying for a public event because it's invite only, private gathering. So we do have 7 pavilions in the city of Janesville Park System that private gatherings can rent and get a beer, wine permit for their private gathering consumption. That is a $50 fee, but what that allows is for your private gathering to have alcohol there. You cannot sell the alcohol. It is just you're giving it away to your private gathering attendees. The pavilions that have that are the Riverside Park pavilions, the Traxler Park pavilions, the Palmer Park Hilltop Pavilion, and then also the 2 Town Square pavilions. The other alcohol permits that the city has is a B5, B6. The best way that I can explain that is the Grand Prix bike race. Roads are closed in the downtown. B5, B6 is the roads in our downtown area. What that allows for is if you get a B5, B6 permit for your event, that means the roads have been approved to be closed down, and then people can carry and consume upon those approved closed streets. Most common for public events is the temporary Class B beer permit. What that is a $10 fee through the City of Janesville's clerk's office. It's on top of your public event fee, and it allows public event organizers to sell alcohol. And when I say alcohol, I mean fermented malt beverages, most popularly known as FMBs, and that's your beer and your seltzers. No hard alcohol is allowed to be sold at public events. That Class B beer permit allows you to serve those and consume those at your public event. A little bit more about a B5, B6 permit. This map here shows the town square or the town square bike race, and it shows what it looks like. So these streets are closed. This is their race. In the purple area is all streets that are closed within the downtown area, and in that area then people can carry and consume alcohol and during that event. So that's a special permit that's through the clerk's office. That is a $150 fee, and that does go through the ALAC, the Alcohol Licensing Advisory Committee. Who can apply for Class B beer permits? Not everyone. Individuals cannot apply for a Class B beer permit. For-profit organizations cannot apply for a Class B beer permit. Those who can apply for a Class B beer permit for public events are nonprofit organizations, bona fide clubs, churches, lodge societies, veterans organizations, fair associations, and Chamber of Commerce or similar civic organizations. Process to apply for a Class B beer permit is through the City of Janesville. Again, it's not through the Parks and Rec office where your public event approval and permits are through. This one is through the clerk's office on the 2nd floor of City Hall. It's a $10 fee. If you have an event that is multiple days, if they're consecutive, one permit of $10 is needed. If it's an event that's multiple days, but they're not consecutive, an example is Music at the Marv. They're every Tuesday. A permit is needed for each of those separate concerts for $10. If that makes sense. It is a longer process to get the Class B beer permit, because in order to get the Class B beer permit, it has to go before the Alcohol Licensing and Advisory Committee, and they only meet once a month. They meet the first Tuesday of every month, I believe. But what you need to do is to get on an agenda, you need to turn in your application to the clerk's office by the 15th of the month. So for example, if you have a June 26th event, you have to turn your application in by May 15th in order to get your permit processed and approved by ALAC prior to your event. Returning events do not have to go before ALAC, but you still need to turn in your application at least 15 days prior to your event. Nope, and there it is. We were right. ALAC approval. New events go before ALAC. ALAC consists of 7 members, and it's 5 citizens and 2 city council members. Like I said previously, the ALAC meets every first Tuesday of every month in City Hall. The event rep is encouraged to be present at that meeting because likely the ALAC will have questions before they approve a public event that's looking for a Class B beer permit. Returning events for the beer permit can be approved administratively. Allowed alcohol, like I said, is beer, fermented malt beverages, FMBs. They must be purchased from a licensed distributor. Event organizers cannot go to a local store, Walmart, and purchase beer. It has to be purchased through a licensed distributor. Another permit that you can get is 2 opportunities a year to apply for an additional wine permit. Events are just limited to the FMBs, which is beer and your hard seltzers. No hard alcohol is allowed. Permit policies. You can't serve the alcohol in glass. It has to be in clear plastic cups or cans. No carry-ins is allowed. So events are required to have specific signage showing that. No carry-ins, no carry-outs allowed. They have to have signage at events showing the permitted area that people can stay in. In years past, the city did require fencing for public events that had an alcohol permit. We no longer require that, but there is an approved area for your event. So when you're submitting your alcohol license to the city that eventually goes to ALAC, ALAC will see that event map that shows where your event is at. Wristbands are required, so event organizers must give a wristband out to each person that they are selling alcohol to. There must be a licensed bartender present. If events wish to have a scanner that can check IDs, those are available through JM4C, Janesville Mobilizing for Change. Talked about that. The Class B beer permit is obtained through the city clerk treasurer's office in City Hall, turned in by the 15th of the month prior. And that allows for the beer sales and consumption. Next up for events is tent permits. A pop-up tent, your typical 10 by 10 pop-up tent does not require a tent permit. Neither does a 10 by 20 pop-up tent. But any tent over 200 square feet requires a permit. So anything over that 10 by 20 or 200 square feet requires a permit. The tent permits are available through the building division on the 3rd floor of City Hall, and that is a separate permit if you are looking to have a tent that's larger than 200 square feet. You will, as event organizers, need to complete an application with attached map showing the tent size and placement, and then our building division does review that, and they're looking for certain things for public safety in their review. The event organizer is then required to call Digger's Hotline prior to their event and before any stakes are driven into the ground. Fireworks permit. Some events want to have fireworks. There is a separate fireworks permit. That is not through the fire department, but also through the clerk treasurer's office on the 2nd floor of City Hall. Another map is required showing where you wish to launch and your fall zone. For example, I'm actually looking out here at the window of JPAC, looking at the launch area for the Janesville's Jolly Jingle fireworks. But that is a separate permit again. that we must have. That permit fee is $105, and that's for the review of the application. You must contract with a licensed pyrotechnician, and fireworks by type intended for purchase must be included in that application. Road closure requests. So many opportunities on Festival Street. Event organizers are encouraged, if they wish for a road closure, to utilize Festival Street. Festival Street, aka River Street, in our downtown town square is beautiful. It's a perfect opportunity for public events. And there's the east and the west side of the river and the beautiful pedestrian bridge there. That is incredible for events. The bollards there are great for public safety. And just like I said, a great event place. Other road closure requests beyond Festival Street are limited and would be reviewed and approved based on request. Event organizers are responsible for rental of needed barricades if it's any location other than Festival Street, and they are responsible for the placement and the takedown of those barricades during an event. The city has various barricades that event organizers can use. We have both A-frame, Class 1, and Class 3 barricades. Some events, particularly run walks, do wish for or may be required to have police assistance based on our internal review of the event, and that would be at a cost to the event organizer. But those police officers are used for certain things for public safety in terms of crossing intersections and other reasons. Rentals and waste. Certain parks have various bathrooms in our pavilions and park areas that may be sufficient for events. Some events are so large and alcohol will be consumed and sold that porta potties or additional bathrooms are required. General rule of thumb is with a beer permit, event organizers should plan for renting one porta potty for every 200 females and 300 males. And then without a beer permit, one porta potty for each 300 females and 500 males. And the city can assist with providing information on various businesses that provide porta potty rentals. Recycling is required at public events. The city does have recycling containers and bags at very low cost that event organizers can rent. Otherwise, they can utilize their own means for recycling. Event organizer is responsible for cleanup as well. Electrical, various public spaces have electrical. We are really building our park system and especially our town square festival with appropriate and ample electrical needs for event organizers to have food trucks, to have concerts, and really robust events. We have the electrical means for that. We ask that you provide us with your electrical needs in advance so we can help you through that process as well. Some events want signage. There's pavilions, maybe, whether it's a banner on a pavilion, whether it's a simple sign, 2x3 sign that's put into the ground in a park ahead of time. And we can all work through that, but any signage in public parks does need our approval as well. We do have equipment rentals. I talked a little bit about recycling bags and bins that we have, but we have so much more. And that information is available on the City of Janesville website under our equipment rental page. But we've got lots of things from water coolers, we've got lots of carnival games, lawn games, traffic cones, various event safety items that event organizers can rent for a very reasonable fee. We also have air chalk too that people can purchase for their event because you cannot spray paint on the ground. Event review and approval. Technically, the event review process is new events need to have their application in 60 days in advance of their event. If there is a road closure request, alcohol sales, or 30 days if none of the above apply. However, we really do want to work with event organizers. We understand everyone's busy, so if we have people or event organizers that do not meet those deadlines, we generally will work with people. The process always starts in the recreation division on the first floor of City Hall. And what we do is we work with the various city departments, such as the fire department, the clerk's division, and the police department for the review and approval of those events. Events will receive approval once a review has occurred and all documents that we discussed previously are in. I didn't fit this in, but I do want to mention one other quick thing with events. Some of you may have heard of the Woodman's Sports and Convention Center. This is a process that the city is in right now, and we've got the Friends of the Woodman Center that is working furiously to get this center that's going to be incredible for public events to host an event at. So we're excited to continue the WSCC process and excited to have another event location that is indoors in the city of Janesville. And with that, I thank you for your time, and I will take any questions.
So that Woodman's Convention Center, is that new, or does it exist now? Or?
It does not. So it is planned for the existing Sears site at the mall. And what that would include is a three-part complex, a year-round arena, that would be a nice arena, a secondary multi-purpose arena that would be ice for 6 to 7 months out of the year, and then could be converted to turf or hard court the other 6 months out of the year. That could also be used for event space. And then the third multi-purpose space would be your convention space, your public event space, and can also be hard court, utilized for sports tournaments and practices as well.
Okay, you probably don't know square footage right now. I mean, if we end up needing a new venue or a club or show, you know, we're doing it at the Craig Center now.
Yeah. We can definitely follow up with, I don't have the exact square footage with me right now, but it's definitely large in terms of space, especially if you combine the multi-purpose space and the secondary arena space. But the city does have a Woodman's Sports and Convention Center tab on our website that has the specific dimensions of both of those spaces together.
Okay. Yeah, business card. I mean, would you be the person to contact with questions about this? Or?
Absolutely. Yep. In that packet right there is the City of Janesville Recreation Division phone number, and that can be immediately transferred over to me. And also there is a special events email, and I do receive those emails as well directly.
Now we need your name.
That's right there.
Shelly Slateback.
Okay. I'll learn to read.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah, has anybody done a comparison for insurance between Civic and a private company to kind of find out how they play? Because I know that Civic is very affordable for city government. I wonder how that plays into these events, and if people have used Civic a lot for these events.
That's a great question. To be honest, I have not had an event organizer utilize Civic yet. Most event organizers do utilize their own because they're nonprofits typically, and it's just easy for them to get a certificate of liability insurance from their existing insurance company. But to that point, if event organizers wish to have a comparison between what their insurance policy is charging, if they are charging additional for that certificate, we would be happy to do that for them. All right, well, I thank you guys for your time, and if anyone has any further questions, don't hesitate to visit the City of Janesville website and learn more about the public event process, or reach out to the Recreation Division at any time throughout the year. Have a great day.